The moment she quietly admitted that she couldn't afford the date, the entire restaurant seemed to disappear around me. The elegant lights, the soft music, and the conversations from nearby tables faded into silence as I noticed the embarrassment in her eyes. It wasn't pride that made her speak those words, it was honesty. She had spent the entire evening trying to hide her worries behind a warm smile, but in that single moment, the truth slipped out. Most people would never remember a sentence like that, but for me, it became the beginning of a story that changed 2 lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness still has the power to change the world, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment about what kindness means to you, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more inspiring stories about second chances that remind us humanity is still alive. I had met Emma only a week earlier at a small neighborhood bookstore where she worked after finishing her college classes. She was the kind of person who remembered every customer's favorite novel, smiled at children who wandered into the reading corner, and somehow made strangers feel welcome without saying much. There was something peaceful about her that stood out in a world where everyone seemed to be rushing somewhere. After several brief conversations, I gathered the courage to invite her to dinner. She hesitated before accepting, not because she wasn't interested, but because life had taught her to be careful with every decision. As the evening unfolded, I noticed little things that most people would ignore. She chose water instead of an expensive drink without even looking at the menu twice. She admired the desserts from a distance but quickly turned the page. Every choice she made felt calculated, as though she carried an invisible calculator in her heart. I couldn't understand why until she finally lowered her eyes and confessed that she couldn't afford places like this. She apologized for accepting the invitation, explaining that she had almost canceled several times because she didn't want anyone to think she expected to be treated or pitied. What she didn't know was that her honesty was worth more than anything money could ever buy. I smiled gently and told her something that left her completely speechless. I explained that I hadn't invited her because I wanted someone to split a bill. I invited her because I wanted to spend time with the woman who made a dusty little bookstore feel like home. I told her that if she had only been able to afford 2 cups of coffee from a street vendor, I would have happily called it the best date of my life. For a few seconds she simply stared at me, her eyes filling with tears she had tried so hard to hide. No expensive meal could ever compare to the relief she felt in that moment. As we continued talking, she slowly opened the door to a life filled with quiet struggles. Her father had passed away years earlier after a long illness, leaving behind medical debts that her family was still paying. Her mother worked endless shifts at a nursing home while Emma balanced college, a part-time job, and caring for her younger brother. Every paycheck disappeared before she could spend a single dollar on herself. Fancy restaurants, vacations, and new clothes belonged to someone else's world. Yet despite carrying responsibilities far beyond her age, she never allowed bitterness to replace kindness. Listening to her story reminded me of my own past. Years earlier, my mother had worked 2 jobs after my father walked away from our family. I remembered watching her skip meals so I could have dinner. I remembered promising myself that if life ever became kinder to me, I would never measure people by their wallets. Success had eventually found me, but those memories never disappeared. Sitting across from Emma felt like looking into a chapter of my own life that I had almost forgotten. That night we didn't talk about expensive dreams. We talked about favorite childhood books, rainy afternoons, family traditions, and the small moments that make ordinary lives beautiful. Hours passed so quickly that neither of us noticed the restaurant beginning to close. As we walked outside, the city lights reflected on the wet streets after a gentle evening rain. She thanked me for giving her a night she would never forget, not because of the food, but because for the first time in years, she didn't feel judged for what she couldn't afford. Over the following months, our relationship grew through simple moments instead of grand gestures. We explored free art museums, shared sandwiches in the park, volunteered at community food drives, and spent evenings reading together in the bookstore after closing time. Every memory proved that love grows strongest where expectations are smallest. Watching Emma laugh without worrying about money became more rewarding than any luxury I had ever experienced. One afternoon, I quietly arranged a scholarship through a local education foundation where I volunteered. I made sure my name stayed hidden because I never wanted gratitude to replace her confidence. When she received the letter, she cried with relief, believing that years of hard work had finally been recognized. In truth, they had. She had earned every opportunity through determination, compassion, and resilience. All I had done was help open a door that she deserved to walk through. Years later, people often asked us the secret behind our happy marriage. They expected to hear stories about romantic vacations or expensive gifts, but the answer was always much simpler. The strongest relationships are built by two people who choose understanding over pride, honesty over appearances, and kindness over wealth. The night she confessed she couldn't afford the date wasn't the moment our love almost ended, it was the moment it truly began. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that compassion is more valuable than money, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more stories about hope, love, and second chances that can inspire lives around the world. Special request: before you leave, tell us in the comments, what is one simple act of kindness that changed your life forever? Sometimes the richest people are not those who have the most money, but those who make others feel valuable when they have the least. One honest sentence transformed an ordinary dinner into an unforgettable beginning, proving that when someone chooses kindness instead of judgment, they don't just pay for a meal, they give another human being the priceless gift of dignity, hope, and the courage to believe that better days are still waiting just ahead.